Japan, 660 BC. Emperor Jimmu becomes the first ruler of the island nation's imperial family. According to legend, the ancient Japanese also believed Jimmu was the direct descendant of the sun goddess, Amaterasu.
The Japanese people worshipped a deity named Amaterasu, who was believed to shine like the sun. She sent her descendants to Earth in order to bring order out of chaos. Japan's first emperor, Jimmu, directly connected himself as a descendant of Amaterasu, therefore setting up his lineage and connection to this divinity.
He was the man who united the island of Japan's various warring factions into one country. And all emperors since Jimmu have all claimed descent from the sun goddess. And the reason why the Japanese flag has this rising sun is that it represents the descent from the sun goddess.
According to legend, the sun goddess Amaterasu gave 3 gifts to Jimmu: a mirror, a jewel, and a sword. Known as the imperial regalia of Japan, it is believed that with these divine artifacts, Jimmu was able to control his empire.
Apart from the emperor and a few elite priests, no one's ever allowed to see them. So where they are, nobody knows. But it is said that in 3 separate shrines in Japan, which are also tourist attractions, somewhere deep inside them, the priesthood keeps these secret crown jewels that no one is ever allowed to see.
But what unique powers might these 3 divine gifts have possessed? Might they have been not merely symbols of power, but examples of highly advanced extraterrestrial technology?
According to legend, this mirror was quite extraordinary.
They say in this mirror he could see what happened at every minute around all the islands in the Pacific Oceans. At every minute. So what is this mirror? Some technical device?
So what is it that we're looking at here? Well, if you look at it from a perspective of misunderstood technology, then next time you look at your computer monitor and you look at a YouTube clip from, let's say, the Iguazu Falls, then you're looking at a magic mirror that shows you everything in the world.
And you kind of have to wonder here whether these objects had more power than just an ordinary thing. And perhaps they were actually highly technical objects given to him by extraterrestrials, by the gods, to help him as the first emperor.
Might Jimmu's mirror really have been a technological device given to the emperor in an effort to help him rule his people? Does it suggest the emperor was actually an alien being? Or was he a human messenger employed by the gods to impose order and propagate the notion that otherworldly visitors were to be regarded by humans as gods? Central America. Here, in western Honduras, lie the impressive ruins of the ancient Maya city of Copan. And though Copan's temples, pyramids, and monuments rank among the most important of any Mayan sites, researchers looking to explain the incredible achievements of the Maya have been drawn to a 72-step structure known as the hieroglyphic stairway.
The hieroglyphic stairway at Copan was constructed in the early 700s AD with the intent of writing out the history of Copan at that time. And so it was designed as a public monument to the glory and success of all the kings from Yaxcucmo all the way to the 13th one who commissioned it to be built.
Carved into 1,200 stones in the massive monument, the ancient Maya symbols known as glyphs make up what historians believe is one of the oldest and most sophisticated systems of writing. But for centuries, the glyphs found throughout Mesoamerica were undecipherable. Then, in 1880, German librarian and anthropologist Ernst Forstmann cracked the code.
Ernst Forstmann was a librarian at Dresden, and in his desk he kept one of the 4 Maya books, the Dresden Codex. He was a brilliant mathematician and extremely logical and had enormous insights. And at a time when we couldn't read a single Maya hieroglyph, he was able to figure out the Maya calligraphy.
Maya hieroglyphic writing is very robust, and that's because it uses really 2 components. There are logographs. Logographs are really pictures that represent entire words. So Balam, for example, which is jaguar, could be written with just the head of a jaguar. On the other, we have these things that we call phonetic complements. And these are glyphs, they're images that represent sounds.
According to interpretations of the hieroglyphic stairway, the glyphs chronicle not only the history, but also the origin of the ancient Maya rulers.
The hieroglyphs are really attached to what was important to royalty at the time, and that was lineage and the genealogies of the kings. They went out of their way to demonstrate how they were connected to their ancestors and the gods of their ancestors to establish their right to rule.
This is a picture I took of a close-up of a sculpture of Washak Lajun Uba Ka'wil, the 13th ruler of Copan, and he's depicted here on the front in all of his finery, and then the sculptor put a hieroglyphic passage on the side. We don't think commoners could read, but all the elites could, and the king could. So he or another elite individual could come here and impress people by saying this demonstrates the semi-divinity of our king and his power to intercede between us and the heavens.
But just what was the real source of power and authority behind the Maya priests and kings? Do the hieroglyphs reveal an otherworldly truth to their origin, as the Maya themselves maintain? Ancient astronaut theorists believe the answer is yes.
What we have to think about today is, where did the origin of the priesthood come from? And the origin is nothing else but that the initial cabal of priests, they were all in contact with extraterrestrials, and that's why they were revered. Our ancestors thought they were gods because they didn't understand the nuts and bolts aspects behind those visits. But when it all comes down to it, it was all a huge misunderstanding and a way to keep the common people in place.
In the beginning, the first ruler were gods, real descendants from the sky, extraterrestrials. But later, the priests and the rulers took the names of their ancestors' gods. So they made a secret and a kind of conspiracy around them, because the normal people should give them offerings, should give them gold, metal, all kinds of gifts, etc., as they did some centuries before for the real gods. So it was a kind of conspiracy among the priests and among the kings.
Mayan hieroglyphs specifically say that the Mayans were absolutely convinced about the existence of otherworldly beings, and that they actually believed that these beings manifested themselves regularly at preordained moments of time.
Perhaps further evidence of the Mayan belief in the existence of extraterrestrial beings may be found in their daily rituals of human sacrifice. Scholars believe that blood offerings were seen as an act of devotion to the Maya rulers, who were assumed to be descendants of the gods.
We know that the Maya practiced blood sacrifice because they were still doing it when the Spanish came. We have images on wall paintings, on vases, and in sculptures that show people letting their own blood and sacrificing other people.
The Mayans had a complex pantheon which involved gods from the sky, and the rulers were supposed to be descendants of these gods. And they believed that these gods demanded sacrifices of them, and that their blood, the blood of their kings, was the ideal sacrifice for the gods. Later, the Mayans began to take captives, particularly other royal captives, and execute them using their blood as the gift to the gods.
The ancient Maya were particularly worried that jaguar gods had come to Earth from somewhere else and had instructed them, and in return they had to make sacrifices to the jaguar gods, in particular heart sacrifices.
We see hundreds, if not thousands, of people being dragged up the pyramids and really sacrificed. Definitely there is this absolute belief that the Mayans needed the intervention of the gods, and they believed that somehow sacrificing human beings was going to bring back the gods.
It's very possible that this civilization, as cultured as they seem to have been, were also pretty barbaric. And this could have been their way of trying to offer the gods something.
Blood sacrifice was nothing else but an act of desperation to bring about the return of the extraterrestrials. Because one thing is crystal clear. In every single ancient culture, there is a promise of a return in the future of those gods. Blood sacrifice was something that we humans did ourselves because we didn't understand that what we dealt with was nothing else but flesh and blood space travelers instead of real or actual gods.
Xinjiang, China. It was here that Wang Di, a mythical ancient leader known as the Yellow Emperor, is believed to have reigned throughout the 27th century BC. Viewed by many as the father of Chinese culture, the Yellow Emperor has been credited with creating traditional Chinese medicine, such as acupuncture, and introducing advancements like wooden houses, the bow and arrow, bronze coins, and a written language.
The Yellow Emperor is, according to most Chinese, a legendary figure. He's a cultural hero as well as a ruler. But at the same time, he's also believed to be actually the founder of Chinese civilization. In fact, just about everything that you would think as the basic elements of civilization is somehow associated with the Yellow Emperor.
According to some researchers, the Yellow Emperor, like other ancient rulers, possessed otherworldly power. And they believe the proof can be found by looking at the celestial origins of this mysterious leader. Like the Egyptians, the ancient Chinese believed their emperors received their powers and abilities from the heavens.
The Chinese emperor is actually called Son of Heaven. What that means is that the emperor earns his right to rule people because he received a certain guidance from heaven to rule. Heaven is always sending down these messages, telling the emperor when is the best time to harvest, when is the best time to sow seeds, when to actually wage a war. So it's very important for the emperor then to read the signs.
According to ancient Chinese legends, the Yellow Emperor was floating through space. He saw that the people of Earth were sad and poor, but he saw potential. So in order to help the people, he descended from the sky and taught those people different scientific disciplines
and the Yellow Emperor comes down to bring comfort, order, and leadership to his people. So there's a direct connection between the divine realms and the beginnings of our personality, our identity, our nation.
According to legend, after ruling for 100 years, the Yellow Emperor made preparations to leave his earthly kingdom.
After Wang Di's work was done on planet Earth, he returned to the stars. And he did this by doing something very specific. He installed a cauldron, and the moment he installed that thing, according to the ancient legends, the heavens opened.
A yellow dragon comes down from the heavens, and he rides the dragon out into the stars and becomes stars himself.
Mysterious cauldrons, flying dragons. Could these fantastic notions really have played a part in the fate of China's Yellow Emperor? Or is there another, perhaps more plausible explanation?
Are we really just talking about folklore here? Or did something actually happen in real life? And of course the answer is that something was witnessed by our ancestors that they could best describe with the vocabulary that was available to them at the time.
When we look at the story of the Yellow Emperor ascending into heaven, this to me sounds like a description of some type of UFO encounter. It's very possible that the Yellow Emperor was actually traveling on a UFO.